Hey guys, Carl from Purple Moose Plays. Today I'm taking a look at Emerald Skulls, a small box dice-based betting game from designer Steven Dast and publisher Thunderworks Games. This is now another game in their world of Ulos that started with role player and has gone through things like cartographers and lockup and role player adventures and so on. This is also now thematically the second sort of game that's played by the inmates of Kulbak prison inside this world of Ulos. The first one being Goblin Vaults, which was a sort of card-based, spatial puzzly kind of a game, and now they've released this Emerald Skulls, which is sort of a take on craps, or a dice-based casino-style betting game. Disclaimer, for this video I was given a review copy of this game, but as always I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode in this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Emerald Skulls, begin by placing the skull game board out in the center of the table. Next, placing out the 4 standard betting cards, labeled 1 through 4, on either side of the skull board, leaving space here on either side of those cards for betting markers later on. Then I'm going to place out these 7 dice as well as these reroll cubes. And for the solo game, we're going to use 120 value worth of gear tokens, but 40 value of those is going to start with the AI, which I will set up later. So I am going to put over here a pool of 80 gear tokens. And I've done that completely randomly as 4 10s, 6 5s, and 10 1s. Then setting up our player area on my side, I'm going to take one of these player sort of aid cards in the color of my choice. In this case, of course, I am playing purple. This gives you a sort of breakdown of how the game plays, albeit in the multiplayer game, which will change quite a bit in the solo mode, as well as some iconography here on the back explained. I'm just going to set this over here, sort of marking my area. And then I will also need 2 betting markers in my color. In the solo mode, I actually won't be doing any betting myself, but I will use these to mark a specific reroll type that I will explain later on in gameplay. Then to set up the AI's area, we are going to take these cards, giving those a good shuffle, setting those on the table, and then the AI will be using 2 yellow bidding markers or betting markers and 1 red. The rulebook does say 2 red and 1 yellow, but you'll see in a minute that the card refers to 2 yellow and 1 red. So I'm going to place those out as well. And as I mentioned before, I start with no gears, which sort of are the currency / points of this game, but the AI will be starting with 40. So I'm going to stick those over here for the AI. And then finally, the lid of the box is a handy dice tray, so I'm going to set that right here in the center. And like that, we are all set up for gameplay. And a solo game of Emerald Skulls will play out over an indeterminate number of rounds until either all of the gears have been removed from this sort of common supply, or we've played through all of the AI cards. If we do play through all of the AI cards before the gears have been emptied, any gears that remain will be added to the AI's pot or sort of score pile before final scoring is done. And for the most part, we will be following this play sequence, except that it will never change playing turns. I will always be the person rolling the dice in the solo mode. But for the first round, or the first step of every round, we will be doing the buy dice phase. Then the tumble phase, where we're going to allow the bets, meaning in this case for the solo mode, we're going to turn over a card from the AI, which will determine their bets. And then rather than doing this loop of allowing bets and then rolling myself, allowing bets and then rolling myself before going to payout, I will play through all of the roll turns because the AI will be making their bet only at the start of that phase, and then we will go into payout. So rather than using this, I'm just going to leave this here and I will sort of explain things as I go. But first things first, I need to buy dice. And 3 dice will be free, but any other number of dice that I want to purchase will be based as it shows here at the bottom of the board. 4 dice costs 1 gear, 5 dice costs 3, 6 costs 6, and 7 costs 10. But right now I start with nothing, so I can only choose 3 anyway. So the next phase is we're going to turn over the AI's card, and every AI card will show this. There will be sort of 3 rows of information, and the row I'm looking at is going to be based on the number of dice that I've chosen to buy at the start of the round, in this case 3. So what this says is that Vrax, the yellow AI, will be placing 2 of their betting tokens at the Mad Nargash bet as well as the Empty and Shiny bet, and Kerr the red will be placing 1, in this case, at Empty Hands. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll sort of explain what that means and then go into our first roll or tumble phase of the game. So again, yellow is placing here at Mad Nargash, as well as at Empty and Shiny over here. Let's just slide those in a little bit. I did overestimate for space. And then red is playing here at Empty Hands like that. And what this means is each of these 4 cards has 2 potential sort of round ends that will pay out to anybody who's bet on that sort of payout. So let me show you up close these 4 cards and explain what everything does. Actually, before I do that, let me show you the player aid. There are 5 different ways that a round can end. If I bust out means I am unable to place any dice. I can chicken out by deciding to stop rolling the dice before I've placed them all out. And in that case, you'll see that skulls do not pay out. I'll explain that a little bit later. I can gem out, meaning I place a die here at the topmost gem space on the skull. I can run out, which means I was successfully able to place all of the dice that I bought for that round. And again, in this case, the skulls still do not pay out. Or I can double out, which means that I'm placing all my dice and the final die that I've placed is on that gem space. So it's sort of a combination gem out, run out at the same time. It's called a double out. And you'll see that any one that I end with a gem will score based on skulls. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I only wanted to show you these so that you can better understand the different sort of bets that are available. So here we've got pick and bust. This says the AI, because they'll be the one betting, will score if I bust out after doing at least 1 nose pick. And a nose pick is one of the ways I can re-roll dice. I'll explain that shortly. And if they do that, they would score 10 points, because there will only ever be 1 bet in the AI mode or the solo mode. Mad Nargash over here says I need to gem out with only skulls on the board. It means I'm only placing skulls, and skulls are wild dice, which you'll see shortly. And in that case, the AI would score 8 points. You'll see that these purple ones also have what's called a jackpot scoring. And this means that instead of my normal scoring, which I will explain shortly, I could instead score 5 gears per skull that I placed out on the board. Looking at the next card, Grim Grin, the AI will score if I run out, having only placed teeth, which are 1s and 2 valued dice. And the AI would score 5 for that. And if I did that, I could also, instead of my normal scoring, choose to score 3 points for every 1 and 2 that I'd placed on the board. The Emerald Skull says that I will have doubled out with a full skull. It means I've placed 1 die in all locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Means I need to have at least placed 6 dice. And actually, that's not completely true, because this says a full skull must have 3 teeth. So I must have placed all 7 dice, and I need to have doubled out. Means I would have run out of all 7 dice and something had been placed in the gem, which is guaranteed if I finish this full skull. AI would score 10 points, and I could choose to score 30 points, which clearly I would do instead of scoring what the board shows. Busted Fowl is what happens if I bust out or chicken out. The AI would score 5 gears. Final Jewel is what happens if I gem out but not double out. The AI would score 2 gears. And then finally here, Empty Hands is what happens if I run out but not gem out. AI scores 2 points. Empty and Shiny if I double out without having all skulls on the board or a full skull, the AI would score 5 points in that case. So I need to, as I'm playing, think about what I'm placing, think about what I'm doing based on what the AI is betting in any given round. So for this case, they want me to gem out with only skulls. This one wants me to run out, and this one wants me to double out. So while it's not great, if I bust out or chicken out, they would score nothing. It also means I don't score a whole lot of points, but I'll explain that in just a second. It also means I could gem out without using only skulls in order to do that, they don't score anything, but I would. I could also bust out after anything, after at least one nose pick, or I can give them the 2 points for the run out, for example, running out only with teeth and then scoring a bunch of points for the teeth. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me explain how this works. I am now going to roll dice. And when I roll the dice, I'm allowed to place out as many dice of a single value that I'd like to place out. The only catch is I can only place dice at a level, including dice or higher than dice that I've already played. And then after I've rolled the dice and placed, I will then either choose to chicken out and stop rolling, or roll again and try and place again. And if I can't place again, I will have busted out. And if I did place again, then I can continue again, either chickening out or continuing to roll until all dice have been placed, I've chickened out, or I've busted. In addition to that, if I had any of these cubes, I could spend a cube to add one additional die to my pool and re-roll all of my dice. That's my one option to re-roll. Or I can pick the nose. And pick the nose means if there is a die in this 3 space, which is the nose, I can choose to remove that die back into my pool, re-rolling my pool. And when I do that, I'm going to mark off with my own marker that I have done that, meaning I can only ever do that twice in a single round. Also, it's worth mentioning, I said I can place dice at a level where I have dice or higher. If I played in a 3 without anything in 1s and 2s, and I remove that and place this still counts as a die having been played at that level, meaning I couldn't play below that because I'd already played there. Then, once I have finished all of my turn, either busting out, running out, chickening out, or gemming out, I will score. If I've run out at all, I will score based on what shows on this side. If I've chickened out or gemmed out, I will score everything on this side. And if I bust, I will score nothing. It's also worth mentioning that if I chicken out or run out, I do not score skull placement. But if I gem out or I run out with a gem, means double out, I will score skulls as well as valued dice. And the way I score is I just count the number of dice at each level times whatever it shows next to it based on the side that I'm using at that point. And again, for anything on the nose level, I will be getting these reroll tokens. And I will continue doing this round by round, collecting points for myself or gears for myself, collecting gears for the AI. And when all of the gears have run out or the AI's deck has run out and the gears are then added to the AI, remaining gears are added to the AI's pile, whoever has the most gears will be the winner. And I think that should be everything, but let me go ahead and play, and hopefully any questions or misunderstandings you have do come out as I get into gameplay. So rolling my first set of dice, I've got a 1, a 5, and a 5. So I could place a 5 there and instantly gem out, which would score me 5 points, and doesn't score them anything because I didn't gem out with skulls only, I didn't run out, and I didn't double out. Or I can hope to sort of maximize my scoring points by placing that 1 there and re-rolling my dice. In this case, as a starting round, 5 points is not a lot, but it does potentially get me gears that I can start getting more dice, and it also prevents them from getting any points. So I think I'm actually going to do that. I'm gemming out. They don't score anything. Well, first off, I should score first and then them. I did gem out, which is here, but that's only going to be 3 points. Hold on. Not 5. 5 is only if I run out or double out. Yeah, let's push our luck. I put a tooth there, and I roll again. All right, so I've got a 1 and a 4, so I could place another 1 there, or I can place the 4 up there. Again, if I run out, he's getting 2 points, but I will potentially score a whole lot more than that. So let's do that and re-roll again because that's safe. Anything I roll can get placed out. And it is a skull, which means I can place it anywhere I want to, but I'm running out, so I'm not scoring the skulls. Which means if I put it anywhere else, but if I do that, I'm running out and gemming out, means he doubles and gets that. Not good for me. If I put this down here as a tooth, I will be running out, but I will be running out with only teeth, which means instead of scoring 1 point for everything in this row, not counting the skull because I don't score skulls this time, I will score 3 points per tooth that I've done. So that's 1, 2. I get 6 points. Then I did not gem out. I did not double out. I did run out. So they are going to get 2 points for the AI. Now the AI, despite having 2 characters, does only have 1 pool of gears. So we will stop there. That is the end of the first round. I can choose to buy dice, as many as I'd like to right now. I will spend 1 back to take 4 dice this time. We turn over the next card here. With 4 dice, it says yellow is placing at Emerald Skull and Final Jewel. And red is placing at empty and shiny. So I don't want to gem out, I don't want to double out, or double out with a full skull, unless I can do it and score lots of points, which would be the case in this case. But with 4 dice, I can't really do that anyway, particularly since I don't have any way to add dice using reroll tokens. So I'd love to run out without using a gem. Let's see what we can do. Ooh, okay. Now, I could place these 2 2s at the same time, but that means I can no longer place 1s below it. I think I'm still going to do it. Let's see what happens. That is brilliant because I've run out, which scores them nothing. I've run out with only teeth, and that is 3 points per tooth. Gives me 12 gears. Yay. And then, yeah, we buy dice again, and I will trade in a 5 for 2 to take 5 dice this time. Turning over their card again with 5 dice, Mad Nargash and Final Jewel there. And he is going to empty hands. So they want me to run out, or gem out with only skulls. If I can double out, that would be wonderful. But let's see what happens. Rolling. All right, 2 skulls. Although if I could do that, I don't have any rolly stuff. I could chicken out, but let's see what happens. I kind of want to start low with these skulls. Let's go there and see what happens. Oof. That was a 4. I just knocked it, I think. Well, I can't place the 1. I can't re-roll, so I'm placing out 2 4s. Now the question is, do I cut out now? If I cut out now, I score 2 points for each of those for 4 points. Skulls don't score if I chicken. But if I chicken, they score nothing. If I roll this, I have to roll a 5 or a skull in order to get out. Would cause me to double out. Would get me a lot more points. But I've got a 2 in 6 chance that that's going to happen. If I bust, I lose everything. So I'd lose 4 points versus 15. No. If I double out, that's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 points, 4 or 0. Yeah, I'm pushing my luck. Let's see what happens. Because bust or chicken doesn't score for them. And I rolled a 2. So I did bust. I score nothing. They score nothing. But it does mean I wasted those 3 gears for the extra die. All right, this time I'm going to spend 1 for 4 dice. Turning over. Says Mad Nargash and Empty Hands for yellow. Final Jewel for red. All right, and let's see what happens. Rolling. 4, 4, 4, and a skull. I need to avoid running out or gemming out. Yeah, let's start. Whoops, that was a skull. Let's start as low as we can. Let's see what happens. Okay. 2, 2. Running out's going to get him 2 points, but if I run out, I can score some stuff. I missed the box, but I promise you off camera that was a 2. So we've got 2, 2, 2, and 1. I did run out, but I ran out with only teeth. 3 times 3 is 9, trading in 1 for 10. And I did run out, so they will get 2 over here, like that. Yeah, let's go big. Trading in a 10 for 7. to get me 5 dice. With 5 dice, they've got Mad Nargash, Empty and Shiny, and Pick and Bust. And I roll. Okay. Yeah, why not? Let's start with the 1 and see where it takes us. All right, well, I'm going to put the 3 there because you might get to see my picking those reroll in a minute. Yeah, 2, 3, 5. I could gem out. Yeah, gemming out scores them nothing. Not great for me, but it'll get me a reroll. Let's do that. I gem out. I didn't double, I didn't gem out with only skulls, and I didn't bust out after a nose pick. So I'm scoring here. No, sorry, gem out. Scoring here, but I do count skulls. There are no skulls anyway. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 points for me. So that gets me a 5, and 5 is 10. Plus 1 reroll. And I will spend 3 to take 5 dice again. But now I've got 5 dice plus a reroll, which is nice. They take their turn. They are going Mad Nargash, Empty Hands, Busted Fowl. All right, this is my chance to do big. Doubling out, gemming out. Let's see what happens. All right. 2. Rolling again. 2. Rolling again. 3. Rolling. Okay, there's a 3 and a 5. I could gem out. Doesn't score me a lot. I'm going to re-roll. Means I spend my cube, I get 1 more die, and I roll. All right, 2, 3, 4. I think I'm going to place another 2. Because you are allowed to place where you already have dice. 5 and 5. Can only place 1 of them. But if I place it, I gem out. But that's fine. We'll do that. Means I gem out. They score nothing because there's not all skulls. Run out. A chicken out didn't happen. So 3, 4, 5, 6 plus a cube. Not great. I need to start scoring bigger if we're going to do anything here. But let's spend 3 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turning over. Grim, Empty Hands. Like that. Plus Busted Fowl. Okay. Running out is not great. Gemming out would be not a problem. I roll. Whoa. Okay. Let's give them some points. That's going to be fine. Let's see what happens next. Okay, so I run out with only teeth. They score 5 in a minute, but first I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 15 points, which is great. They will get a 5, which is less great, but that's okay. And I am going to spend another 3 to take 5 again. I didn't have to use that, which is great. Pick and Bust, Final Jewel. Yes, yes, and this goes to Empty Hands. Gem out, bust out, run out. All right, let's see what we can do. Okay, 5, skull, skull, skull. It says gem out with only skulls. Let's put those as teeth, just in case. Yeah, let's see what happens. 2 or 3. I want to do this and take another die just to see what we can do. I don't think gemming out with only skulls is going to happen, but let's see what happens. Okay, maybe it will. In any case, I am going to run out or gem out or double out. No, it wouldn't be a gem out. It would be a double out. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. No, instead of placing those 2, I need to gem out right now. Which means this one happens. I did gem out. So they're going to get points. But I get 5 times skull. 1, 2, 3, 4 is 20. 10, 20. Like that. Yeah. All right. I am trading in 3. Take 5 dice again. They turn over. Ooh, only 2 cards left. Mad Nargash, empty and shiny. And then busted foul. Yeah, here we go. All right, 1-1. Yeah, let's start low, 1-1. Two. I don't really want to, oh, I could gem out. Okay. 4. I can't place the 3. I don't have any way to roll. Unfortunately, that means I bust. So I am scoring 0, but that means they get 5. Ouch. I need to go big this turn. I will spend 6. I'm not going for 7 dice. Yeah, let's take 6 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turning over their last card. Whatever's left is theirs. This is dangerous. Mad Nargash, empty and shiny, and busted foul. Okay, so they all stay where they are. I need to score lots of points this time, and I don't want to gem out with skulls unless I got a lot of them. Gemming out and running out is fine. If I can run out with teeth and get lots of points that way. Yeah, whoops, that was a 1. Let's start with the 1 like that. Let's go 2. Oh, yeah. 1, 1, 1. Let's see if I can roll a 1 or a 2. Otherwise, that was a mistake. But we'll see what happens. Because I'm going to double out and give them 5 points if I score with a gem right now. But here goes nothing. Oh, boy, look at that. 1. That was a very nice way to end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 times 3 is 30. No, sorry, I can't count. 18. 5, 10, 15. 1, 2, 3 is 18. I did not gem out. I did not bust their chicken. I did not double. They get nothing. But that is the last card of theirs, so they get these last 2, which means I've got a score of 10, 20, 30, 40. 5, 10 is 55. Whoops, 60. 1, 2, 3, 64 points for me. And for them, 10, 20, 30, 40. 5, 10 is 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is a score of 64 to 56. Not a big spread, but I did pull off the win. Yay. All right, so that is basically it. While I'm here, I do like to show off the components. You've basically seen all of the components, at least for the solo mode. Very, very lovely looking components. I continue to love the way all of these Ulos Universe games look. Really beautiful art, graphic design. All of the iconography, very, very easy to read, very easy to parse quickly. I do love these dice, nice green color, these sort of hash marks. It's cool that they're not sort of just straight lines like this 3 is fanned out and the 4 is a sort of pound sign or hashtag, if you will. Makes it very easy to see the shapes, because if they were all just straight lines, at a quick glance, you may not be able to tell the difference between, say, 3 and 4 very quickly, or 2 and 3 very quickly. So having them slightly different angles and so on makes the shapes stand out a little better, so I do like that. The skull symbol is cool as well, that is the wild marker. These wooden tokens are nice and chunky, but very, very light. I do love them. The colors and icons here are familiar if you've played some of their other games. And this does play up to 5 in the core box. Sorry, 6 in the core box. You've seen 3 already. The other 3 colors are this gray, blue, and green. And I do think it plays up to 8 players if you get a 7 to 8 player sort of expansion for the game. The gears, again, very clear, very easy to see. Just punch board, but nice, thick, chunky punch board. Nice differentiation of color, shape, and you can see the values printed on the 5 and 10, make it very easy to see. These green cubes are green cubes. They kind of remind me of the Energy in King of Tokyo, but yeah, nice components there as well. I like that the inside of the box lid is a dice tray because it does make it nice to have this. You can pass it around to whoever is playing at any given time. Again, the AI cards, there's no real reason for the yellow and red to be separate players, but you do need 3 markers to mark off, so there are only 2 per color in the games, which thematically means they had to make it 2 different people. But anyway, very, very easy to follow, very understandable, very quick to parse, very quick to run the AI. Very nicely done there. The only other thing in the box, there are obviously player aids for each of the different player colors. And then there are also these advanced betting cards. So there are 3 different types of advanced betting cards. There are these jackpot cards, these sort of side bet cards, and these here as well that sort of allow you to bet on things not happening as well. Anyway, these advanced cards can't be used in the solo mode, which I'll talk more about in my final thoughts, but is a little bit sad to me. But since I don't ever get to bet, it would make things a little bit more confusing, I guess, in solo. In any case, they are in the box for the multiplayer game. Otherwise, I do like to take a look at inserts. Normally, the insert for this game is just an empty box, not even printed. I wish they would have printed something on the inside of this so that it would match the nice printing on the inside of the lid, but it is what it is. Everything goes nicely in baggies. Nice small package, so no complaints from me on that. Just, yeah, wanted to show that to you on camera. That's basically all there is to tell you about the components. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I want to come out front here and say that I have tended to be quite a big fan of the Thunderworks Ulos universe, big fan of the sort of dice placement of Role Player and how they turned that into a really cool dice placement based adventure narrative campaign game in Role Player Adventures. I do love the sort of flip and write map making of cartographers. I really enjoyed this card-based spatial puzzler in Goblet Vaults, the sort of prequel or previous game to this one. There have been a few smaller misses for me, at least as far as the solo goes. I wasn't a huge fan of the solo and lockup, though it was a very interesting twist on worker placement as a game in general. And again, I wasn't a huge fan of the solo in Dawn of Ulos either, but it was a fun game and it was an interesting sort of reimagining of Acquire. In any case, I'm a very big fan of the universe and how it all sort of thematically ties together, visually how it all looks. And again, I love that they're coming up with this idea that the inmates of Kulbak Prison that you've seen in games like Lockup and Role Player Adventures are playing these little games, and now they're sort of making them into reality, which really gives this cool, rich, thematic flair to the game. Whether or not the theme comes through in the gameplay or not, it depends on the game you're playing, but it really ties all of this stuff together into a sort of cohesive universe that these games are coming out in, and I appreciate that. And again, this one definitely shines as the kind of game that could be played by inmates betting on the results of dice in a sort of underground gambling ring happening within this prison, and for that, I really, really love it. Well, let me get into this game because this is one that I'm going to be kind of middling on, and that's simply because I should point this out up front. I am reviewing this as a solo game. I have not yet had a chance to play this multiplayer, and I imagine that this game will shine as a multiplayer betting style game, and I definitely will want to get it played and hope to hold on to it so that I can get it played, but again, I'm going to come at this as a solo game. At its core, this game is very interesting to me. It is very much like Craps Vegas style kind of thing where you're rolling dice and everybody's sort of bidding on the results of the dice and how they're going to play out. And I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. The sort of push your luck aspect as the person rolling the dice, hoping to sort of get as many points out of the results of the dice without giving points to your opponent. And that happens in the solo mode as well. It feels really good. It's interesting how you can place dice sort of from the bottom up anywhere you want to, with the caveat that once you've placed dice at a certain level, you cannot place dice below that level, except, and this is an interesting twist, except if you have already placed dice at a lower level. So if I place 2 and then I place 4, when I roll again, if I roll 2s, I can actually still place those in the 2 level without having a problem because I've already sort of unlocked that level. And I think that little twist adds a nice bit of flair to this game because it means you've got a little bit more control over which of the different sort of end game or end turn conditions, the sort of bust out, chicken out, run out, or gem out / double out conditions, because it doesn't mean that once I've placed a 4, I have to roll a 5 or a skull wild die, as long as I've already placed stuff down below. So it gives you this sort of incentive to sort of do your best to work from the bottom up, unless there's a specific end turn condition, a specific out that you're looking for to avoid giving your opponents points and or to score some of those extra jackpot scoring possibilities for you based on what other things you put out on the table. And that really does feel good. And then add in this idea of collecting rerolls for having placed 3s and scored on your turn, but also having the ability to remove a 3 during your turn to reroll as well. And on top of that, the reroll using the reroll cubes is particularly nice because you're not just rerolling the dice to give yourself another chance at something better coming out. You're also adding a die to the dice pool when you do that, giving yourself more possibility of scoring bigger because now you have more dice to place and you didn't have to pay for them at the start of the round. But talking about that paying at the start of the round, I also enjoy that aspect because you really have to think about how many points am I willing to sacrifice to have a bigger turn? If I spend points and I crash out or I bust out, then I've wasted those points for nothing. But spending those points gets me more dice, which means I have more possibility of good things happening. But it may also make it harder for me to run out of dice, meaning to score higher points based on the things that I've already placed. So I really have to weigh my options here. How many gears am I willing to spend? How many dice should I be rolling? How many dice is good to score good points, but still have the ability to finish well? How many dice should I have in order to sort of hope that I can put out a 3 so I can either get reroll tokens for next time and or pull those out, picking my nose to get a chance to reroll mid-turn as well. Really nice balance of how much money to spend on dice, how many dice to roll, whether to place your dice from the bottom up, whether to start just at the higher valued things that will score more, but knowing then that it's going to be harder to run out of dice. It may be harder to sort of hit the things that you're trying to hit because you started high and now you can't place anything low, and the bad die result will just wipe you out and bust out right then and there. Really cool balance of push your luck stuff. Now, the way that the solo mode works is when you've bought your dice, the AI is then going to put their bids or their bets out at specific sort of scoring conditions, and you're doing your best to avoid allowing them to score while also maximizing the points you can score, sometimes letting them score if you know they're only going to score a few points and you can score big by hitting that condition anyway. And it does also kind of put a timer on the game because when they run out of cards, if you haven't finished the game before then, they will collect all of the remaining tokens, the gears that are left in that sort of money pile at the end of the game. So if you do things slowly, little by little by little, when you get to the end, there may not be anything else left when you get to the end, you may not have amassed enough gears for them to not then just sweep what's left and crush you because you were moving too slowly. So it does sort of push you to take more risks and push your luck more, specifically as the game is going on, because you can see the timer ticking down and knowing you need to score more points or get more gears in order to win at the end. So you're going to start taking bigger risks to hopefully get bigger payouts. That may or may not happen, but that is what makes the game exciting when you take a big risk and it pays off, or when you think you've got everything set and then you roll and it just completely screws everything up. Those are the kind of emotional beats that happen in this game that make for the fun in this game. So all of that I enjoy, and I will absolutely continue to play this as a solo game, but is it worth having in the collection as a solo game only? I think probably not. And the reason is the other big piece of this game is the placing of bets. and sort of hedging your bets on when to bet on what your opponents are rolling, because in the multiplayer game, you bet before every roll. So the opponent rolls the dice, and then you put out you put out a bet, the opponent rolls the dice and places whatever they want to. Then you can place more bets and so on. You're only allowed to place 2 bets, but sort of deciding when to place your bets either early in the first roll or later after the second or third roll is also going to matter, because you're sort of getting more information about what's possible with each additional roll, but your other opponents are going to be betting on things before you if you wait too long, and whoever gets there first scores more points for a successful bet. So there's this other sort of aspect of playing your opponents, waiting as long as you can to bet on things to make sure they're going to hit, but betting as early as possible to make sure other people don't beat you to that bet. All of that is fun. Plus, I showed you at the components section at the end of my video, there are a ton of different betting conditions that you can add to the game, sort of advanced betting cards that you can add to the game that sort of allow you to bet on things not happening, or sort of make side bets on what kinds of dice are being played, or actually bet on other bets and so on. So it definitely adds this extra layer of interesting sort of table dynamics playing off of other players, but also other things you need to think about in order to score or not score throughout the game. And unfortunately, none of that is in the solo mode, because you can't really have the AI roll dice without maybe some kind of complicated app, in which case it sort of becomes an app game and you're not playing the table game anymore. Anyway, I'm not sure how you could have done solo differently. I'm not sure this is the kind of game that really should have a solo game or solo mode, but as a solo player, I kind of always cross my fingers that there will be for everything. So I do appreciate that Thunderworks tries their best to put a solo mode into every game that they release. Again, the solo mode in this game is fun. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy every play with it. You can adjust the difficulty by starting the AI with more gears at the beginning of the game, or giving them less cards so that timer runs quicker. And I do enjoy the puzzle and the thinking and the push your luck aspect that I'm still getting into while I'm playing solo, but I am missing half of the game. So for that reason, I'm not sure I'd recommend this for solo alone. But if this is a game that you have for multiplayer, I would absolutely recommend trying out the solo, because it is a whole lot of fun. It's just one I expect is going to be a lot more fun as a multiplayer game. And for that reason, maybe not solo only, but if you are interested in this kind of betting dice-based game as a multiplayer game that you might occasionally pull out to play solo, I would still very strongly recommend this, because there is a whole lot of fun in this box, and I expect the multiplayer game would be a whole lot more fun as well. That's basically all I have to say about this game. I hope that this video was helpful for you, and as always, if it was, I do ask that you remember to please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.